Hello guys and welcome back to HJW Gaming. In this video I want to have a brief talk through the new season pass and comparing it to the old version and seeing whether I think it's now better or worse value for money, particularly for those kind of low spending players for which the season pass has been kind of their main source of good gear and Mathams. And then I also kind of want to talk about the state of the game as far as free to play and low spending players goes. So first up, let's talk through the kind of old version, the basic season pass previously, and of course the advanced as well. If I flick back to the beginning here and I'll kind of slowly scroll through, you'll see that kind of for the basic, it was primarily a lot of gems. Most of the Mathams sit within the advanced season pass, but there is still some gems every now and again, as well as respect items as well, sort of every 5 or 10 levels. In fact, the old version of the basic season pass picked up around 1,000 gems, I think it is in total, 20 Mathams, 16 exquisite gifts and 9 flawless gifts. So for free you do get a reasonable amount. It equates to about 22 Mathams. Not too bad just to be an active in your season. Of course, you don't get access to that flawless item, which has been the fine smoking pipe for a little while. If you go on to buy the advanced, which I believe has always been around $15, you do get an additional 4,600 gems, 34 Mathams, 16 exquisite gifts, 7 flawless gifts, 10 flawless custom gifts. By that I mean these kind of extra gifts like these that you can only get a kind of custom set of commanders from. 4 pieces of exquisite equipment, and then of course that piece of flawless equipment I mentioned earlier. But the main thing you'll probably be interested in if you're a fairly low spender is the Mathams. So for that you get 54 Mathams plus 5,600 gems. That's kind of the main thing to focus on with this old version of the Season Pass. Now the new Season Pass is a little bit different. Actually for the basic you do get a little bit more value as far as gems go. I count it up to be about 1,750 gems. However, for the basic, the number of Mathams you get now is absolutely criminal. Where you'd formerly get 20 Mathams without having to buy the Season Pass, this has now dropped down to only 2 Mathams over the entirety of the Season Pass. So if you complete the entire thing, you get 1,750 gems and 2 Mathams, which is a ridiculous drop, as well as also not getting the 9 flawless gifts. You get nothing at all anymore in the basic, which is an enormous drop down from where it was previously. In its place, you get a ton of speed ups. I've just kind of totaled up the kind of minutes of speed ups that you get. You get around 210 minutes of speed ups, 105 minutes of healing speed ups, and 60 minutes of move speed ups, which are the kind of things that you just don't really want. It doesn't take the place of gems because it's not something you would spend gems on as a free-to-play player. Instead, you'd better use them saving up for Mathams. So you've kind of lost quite a bit of value there in not having gems or Mathams. So your account's not really going to go any further without buying the Season Pass, as you'll get the equivalent. So say you spent all those 1,750 gems on chests, you get the equivalent of 6 Mathams in the new Season Pass. Let that sink in. 6 Mathams. Previously you got 20 Mathams and 1,000 gems, so the equivalent of 22 Mathams. So the drop off that free-to-play players are going to get now from not buying the Season Pass is absolutely enormous, and that's quite clear to see that they're trying to kind of push you to buy the new Elite Pass. So the new Elite Pass comes with 2,400 gems and 15 Mathams. Compare this to the old Advanced one that had 4,600 gems and 34 Mathams. Again, a massive drop-off. You still get the one flawless item, though in my opinion the flawless item's a little bit worse now. You now have the Dawn rather than the fine smoking pipe. The Dawn, which has kind of never really been a particularly meta item. You do get a ton of speed ups. You get about 900 minutes of build or generic speed ups, 270 healing speed ups, and 165 movement speed ups. But it's not great. The 11 stamina potions and the construction queue, they come in very, very useful for the beginning of the season. So what they've basically done is they've made it so anyone who wants to do well in the first kind of 24 hours or the first week, they've made the Elite Pass almost essential to purchase, whilst also massively reducing the value of the Season Pass, particularly as far as Mathams and Gems go. So for those kind of low spending and free-to-play players where the Season Pass has been your kind of primary source of value, that value has significantly dropped. Over the entire Season Pass, with buying the Elite Pass and of course still having access to the Basic, you only get 41.50 gems and 17 Mathams, which is ridiculous because that's less gems than you got in the Advanced Pass last time and about half the amount of Mathams. In fact, exactly half the number of Mathams. The drop-off is just absolutely enormous, and I think this is really disappointing. You do get Commander Respect, but it is forced to be Falgin Commander Respect. And the only useful thing in here, which wasn't in the last one, I suppose, is the Elven Craftsman Hammer. But after a while, whilst those are good value now, because we've had such a limited supply, after a while you're going to have your gear in the right place, and you're not going to need an enormous supply of Elven Craftsman Hammers. So I do think this is a huge, huge downgrade on the old Season Pass, particularly if you are a low spender, as I've said, where you might only buy, one gem pack, or you might only buy the Season Pass for your entire season and rely on that for your supply of kind of gear and Mathams to keep your account level, at least so it's not going backwards in the game. But nowadays you're not going to get that, so you are going to just keep going backwards unless you spend more money on the game. And I guess I think this is a real problem because we're starting to see a rather worrying trend also with pay-to-win packs, in my opinion. So we previously had the Treasure Sack, which was a gradually increasing purchasable, where the first set, I think you got a little bit of purple respect and a couple of purple gears. And then after a while, if you kept buying into the gradually more expensive packs, you would get gold gear, all the way up to, I think, a $100 pack that had 3 pieces of gold gear, and you could select the type of gear in there, which type of gear you wanted it to be in. It'd be randomized between those, so you could select, say, head, chest, weapon or accessory. But of course you then get it randomized within that kind of category, and that was seen as quite a good value purchasable pack. And obviously anyone who was a spender would then push all the way up to that high level and get the advantages of being able to choose what kind of equipment they want and getting the best value. The best value came with those most expensive levels, but a lot of people are not going to want to spend, $200-300 to get to that point. And I'm seeing the same problem, unfortunately. It's hard. It's a bit of a problem for me criticising this because this is the best value Matham chest we've had in a while with the Midsummer Treasure Sack. However, it obviously leans in more towards the pay-to-win type of player, as a lot of pay-to-win type players will have a lot of respect, and therefore the main focus will be gear. And having such a good value chest will encourage more Mathams to be opened, and of course the big spenders can then just absolutely pummel this chest and get enormous amounts of really good gear. So I think it's becoming, you've got to look at this from kind of the holistic perspective, that they're making things like the Season Pass for low and free spenders significantly worse, whilst making the kind of spender stuff better, which I think is a problem because it's trying harder and harder to entice you into spending more and more money. And I think that's quite a worrying model because free-to-play players really are the kind of heartbeat of this game. I know everyone says the teams depend on how many whales you have and things like that, but if you have no free-to-play players and everyone's a whale, nobody has fun. And the free-to-play players really are the majority of the player base in this game, and they do need something to keep them going, kind of thing. And I think this is a real beat down on them. So yeah, I just thought I had to do a video on this to kind of just discuss my opinions on this, and and kind of just say that I think that it's a little bit worrying the trend this game's going on. I guess the next thing to also mention would also be the Red Book of Westmarch. They've also removed another source of free-to-play Mathams, in the sense that the Red Book you used to every couple of days, I think it was every 3 days, you'd get a free Matham and I think it was 200 gems or 100 gems. That's now been removed. So that's yet another source of gems and Mathams that free-to-play players have lost. So the only way they can now improve their accounts, or at least not go backwards compared to other people who are spending, is to then spend themselves. And I think that's quite a worrying trend. Anyway, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this kind of discussion. If you have any opinions on this, please let me know down in the comments. I imagine a lot of people have kind of opinions on the way this game's heading. Of course, we haven't seen PBE yet, so we don't know if things are going to become more free-to-play friendly there in regards to, say, Tier 1 and Tier 2 commanders becoming more viable, which I've mentioned before. And of course, I could go on about till I'm blue in the face, but I want to keep this video fairly short. But if you have opinions on this, please drop it down in the comments and just let me know what you think about the state of this game at the minute and where it's going. Anyway, with that, I've been HJW Gaming, and I really hope to see you on the next one.